Well then, that's a way to kick off a first season of Ray Donovan. But actually, what happened in this episode exactly? Well, it's called Faith, Hope, and Luck. And we've got ourselves a setup for the main story, and all the other pieces will be set up as time goes on. And what to talk about in this episode? Well, hard to really say. But I guess, one way we can talk about it is basically Dr. Ahmed and Ray, after the events of the previous season, they finally get around and have a sort of a little therapy between one another and chat out their situation, as basically Ray and Mickey are in a little bit of a situation. Because as we know, Ray hates Mickey's guts, like to a hole. So Ray basically tags him along, and Mickey turns himself into the FBI, and he goes into prison, I guess. Then 4 months later, as we remember last season, a lot of the crimes happened. Some body parts turn up, and it's not looking good for the crew, especially since they're trying to hide all this stuff, all these murders, but they keep popping up somehow. As for where the characters are now, basically Bunchy works at a little pharmacy shop. There's... obviously we know that Mickey's in prison. Terry is hallucinating, even with his Parkinson's. Like, he imagines Mickey in front of him and everything. And of course, Ray is still currently working with the mayor. Mayor Ferrari, if I remember it right. I gotta write down the character names. And then there's Ray talking with Bridget about the marriage situation between her and Smitty. The same, because Smitty was a good guy. Sure, Ray screwed him over in the past, but he was a good guy. Anyways, Ray visits Mickey in prison just the day that he is about to leave for high-end jail, with Ray apologizing to him, but Mickey is kind of like, I accept, but you better get on your knees. And tries to be demanding of him because, Mickey is trying to push himself into the family, and Ray's trying to keep him out of it. But we all know what happens and how it all goes down in these shenanigans. Well, anyways, leaving into Mickey's story, and we'll see that at another time, Terry, basically with him hallucinating about Mickey and him having to change prescriptions every time this happens, this is essentially where we find out he can't activate the little device in him to try and avoid his trembling because of the medication. Can't turn it on. Where this leaves Terry is someone from a sort of hippie-ish group or whatever talks with Terry about some alternative medicine. But it's not the type of medicine you think of. which would be a first thought for Terry. Gives him her card and go along the merry ways. And of course, with Ray still being in his position from working with the mayor, and then he has his own little office space for being a fixer like he was in Hollywood. Sure, he was in the last season, but he was still having to try and overcome the loss of Abby. He had to overcome that in order for him to accept how life works and just what happened. I mean, God, that season, that was a big tearjerker. Memories reflecting on season 5. Anyways, getting back into everything, he returns with a detective asking him about the characters that we saw from last season that obviously they murdered, with Ray having to try and keep cool and composed about it. Because we all know what happened last season. But at least he's back to his job as being a fixer. He's got his own little office that's kind of next to the harbor and everything, so kind of neat. He has his own facility he can take advantage of, like he did back when he was in LA for the first 5 seasons. 5 seasons? Yeah, 5 seasons. Well, in deciding on whether or not, like, how do I explain this? Like, whether or not this happens or not, but Terry, in his decision back in his apartment to decide whether to continue the meds or go to the meditation center, basically decides in the end he's going to the meditation center. But trust me, this is no ordinary meditation center, nor is it another one that uses certain drugs. Marijuana, we should say. Well, in proceeding with this, basically Ray visits Aunt Sandy, not Sari, because that just sounds weird. Ray visits him, retrieves a weapon, because the FBI winds up finding out the murders, why the detective asked the questions a while back. So practically now, Ray and the gang are in hot water. And with Ray retrieving the weapon from Sandy, what could it mean? Could he try and frame Mickey for the murders, like he did the previous few times? Only time will tell. Anyways, Bridget basically finds out about all of this. Mickey heads onto the bus to head upstate, but for whatever reason, by some coincidence, the back door to the bus opens. Some accident or whatever. He has a chance to escape before they pull over, but does he take advantage? Foreshadowing, maybe? But none as foreshadowing as this. Essentially, in some parts of the story, there are themes of clovers everywhere, like 4-leaf clovers. in certain scenes here and there. Like, we're talking moments where, before he turns himself into the FBI, he drops on the ground and finds a four-leaf clover before they head out. Or there's a part where Mickey's in prison and gets a clover tattooed on his arm. There's a gas truck driver, whatever it is, and he's got a clover on the side of his tank of the vehicle and whatnot. All of it is foreshadowing something? I don't know, let's just see how it all ends. Well, what happens is Ray waits inside the next penitentiary to wait for Mickey to come out, but the bus has been delayed because, like I said, the open door. There's Terry at the meditation center. I swear I'm going to be doing that every day. But essentially, he trips out. He's in a jungle. He sees Mickey dead. He starts laughing. There's a moment the trucker that is following them. You know, the trucker with the clover on the tank. He follows the prison bus for whatever reason and goes ahead of it, but then he just drops of a heart attack and the truck suddenly starts to fall in reverse, and with the bus going into it, doesn't steer, but instead collides with the tanker as a huge explosion happens. And what happens in the end? Unknown. Like, seriously, right when that bus and the tanker collide, that's where the episode ends. But I must say, that's like one hell of a starter for a episode, especially when the main character practically hates his father's guts. I will give them credit for that. I will give the writers credit for that. But how is it? Pretty good. It's a pretty good starter for a show. Of course, I'm looking forward to what will happen this season. Heck, even what they show for the quick recap and for the tagline for what you're going to see this season. We're in for one hell of a ride. Like, seriously. Lots of good stuff's going to happen. Hopefully a lot of good suspense and action and everything. Everything that probably makes this one of my favorite shows of the live action era, as well as Showtime in general. But look forward to seeing that next week, as well as these videos. But of course, you may be a little bit confused or scratching your head as to why is this video only up on this side? Why isn't it up on YouTube? To you, I say, good question. But to quickly summarize what's going on YouTube, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act is going to sweep through every video, every channel on YouTube, till December 10th, 2019. It's unclear whether or not my main channel is going to survive, but to hopefully try and combat it, this video, the Ray Donovan stuff, along with maybe some future videos, will be posted here as a means of making sure that if I delete the original master copy and my channel just flat out goes away, I don't lose it. That's always the important part with this. So, what does this entail for my channel? Or at least, I look forward to seeing you for the next Ray Donovan video. It's weird being on this platform to upload these videos, but until I get the clear on posting these to YouTube after the sweep, I'd say we're good. So, see you next week.